Так, мы вышли с музея. И вот на таких машинках мы спустились вниз оврага. Нас подвезли, к счастью. И сейчас тут будет какое-то представление. Уже люди на трибунах ждут, когда начнут стрелять. И мы ждем. Как раз нам повезло. Просто думали заехать в этот музей. А там в комментариях было написано: приедьте именно когда будут какие-то представления. Я посмотрел, вот именно в этот день тут есть мероприятие, посвященное гражданской войны. И мы решили выехать чуть раньше с дома, чтобы сюда успеть именно на мероприятие, а не просто в музей. Будем снимать, будем фотографировать. Забыл. Нам дали вот такие затычки для ушей. Каким концом вставлять? Синим или желтым? Ну, наверное. Нет. Ладно.
Order! Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeff Hunt. I'm the director of the Texas Military Forces Museum, also commander of our Living History Detachment. Aided brawl on the march. You can understand, therefore, why intestinal problems were common for the soldiers in all Civil War armies. In addition to his haversack, the soldier is also going to have with him his tin cup. That is typically his one cooking utensil, and he carried that with him everywhere. He might have a spoon, he might have a fork, but he would always have a tin cup. That was his mess gear. After that, everything the soldier has on him is what he needs to fight. And that means his accoutrements and his weapons. So the accoutrements for the infantryman is a leather waist belt, onto which he has a cartridge box that contains 40 rounds of ammunition, a cap pouch that contains the percussion caps for his weapon, and then he will have a bayonet and bayonet scabbard. Arm! Forward! March! Now what our federal company is about to do is to deploy as skirmishers. Skirmishers was a thin line of troops that would advance in front of a battle line in order to discover what the terrain was like and to uncover where the enemy was. There are many different ways you could deploy as skirmishers, but we are going to use one of the simplest methods here, and we are going to deploy on what is known as the center file. So a company is broken up into groups of 4 men. You have a front rank and a rear rank, and each one of those has a number 1 and a number 2 man, and 4 men in a square constitute what is known as comrades of battle. Comrades of battle. Okay? So these comrades of battles move in these little knotted squares a certain distance, and then they will halt and they will deploy. They will spread out. And as soon as they're halted, they will face to the front and deploy. When spread out onto a skirmish line, each man has a partner.
So the front rank men and the rear rank men work together, and they alternate in their firing and their loading, so that half the muskets in a skirmish line are always loaded and ready to fire at the enemy. Most of the troops here are carrying the model 1853 Enfield rifled musket. In combat, obviously, you would do this out of sight of the enemy or behind cover, because this takes a little bit of while and you're vulnerable to fire if you're doing this within gunshot and sight distance of your opponent. At full strength, a Civil War infantry regiment contained 1,000 men, broken into 10 companies of 100. Now notice the drum, that keeps everyone in step. So learning to load and fire quickly was an important skill for a soldier, because the more lead he put out in the direction of the enemy, the greater the odds of his survival. And we're going to fire by rank, which means the front rank will fire, then the rear rank will fire once the front rank is reloaded. So this is half the unit can fire at any one time. So we're going to go rear rank first. Now the rear rank's loading. Front rank, though, is still loaded. So if the enemy were to attack, you still have half your muskets ready to fire. Of that hill in front of you, which is where it would form if it was going to attack in this direction. They're going to form out of sight of the enemy, out of the reach of his weapons, and then they are going to launch a bayonet charge on you. So that's basically the alarm before you hit snooze.
Guys on line! Guys on the line. Push to the left, push to the left, push left. There you go, there you go.
Then we're going to reform the line. The infantry is going to march off, and then we're going to give you insight into the artillery.
Company, forward, start. Right, face. Forward.
And so as the infantry marches off, I want to introduce you Colonel Jim Lyons, who's going to talk to you about the loading and firing of Civil War artillery. Colonel, it's yours.
Thank you for coming out. Attention battalion. Shoulder arms. Raise it. Arms.
Here to remember heroes of a war that took place more than 150 years ago. And in doing that, we have the inestimable honor to sit with heroes right here in our own audience. I would like all the veterans in our audience, any period, peace or war, please raise your hand. Folks, let's give them a round of applause.